Okay guys, so if you're anything like me, you don't like to pay other people to work on your stuff. As much as I ride, I'm always changing chains, doing oil changes, but today I'm going to change the clutch plates on my bike, which is pretty simple and anybody can really do it. And you don't need any special tools. Got my clutch plates that have been sitting in oil. They don't need to sit in oil overnight, just, maybe for like an hour. I use the Sin Blend from Maxima 1040. It's half synthetic, half non-synthetic. I bought these clutch plates here. I usually run ABC, but I found these. It was about 200 bucks for the full kit. It came with the fiber plates, which are in the oil, and it also came with the springs and the metal plates, because sometimes you can get away with not needing these or these, just changing the fiber plates. But if these are burnt, then you've got a problem. And then I got my gasket. I always change the gasket because the one that's on there now is probably going to get messed up. So the first thing I'm going to do here is check this out. I already pulled the side panel off the bike. I'm going to drain the oil by removing this bolt right here. And then I'll remove the oil filter right here. I have this special wrench for removing the oil filter. It's really nice to have. And then 17 millimeter wrench. Come on. Just take this bad boy. Crack that loose. Boom. I'll let that drain for a while. While it's draining, I'll fire up my air compressor. You don't need to have an air compressor, but I just bought one recently, so I'm going to test it out. Okay, so I put the drain plug back in the bike, and I'm leaving this catch pan down here because when I pop this case off, I'm gonna, there'll be oil dripping down. So I put this down, I put a trash bag underneath that just in case I miss. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen up all these screws using my pneumatic wrench and an 8 millimeter socket. You could just as easily use just a regular ratchet for this, but I'm going to do it the easy way. Okay, so I've taken all the screws out of the case, and what I'm going to do now is I need to pop the case away from the motor. Hopefully it's not too tight. And I'm just going to stick a tie iron right here, and so a little flange right here. I want to make sure I'm not going to break it. Yeah, it's easy. So just work your case off like that. So what I'll do now is I'll remove this gasket and I'll clean the surfaces with a scraper tool. Looks like this, and then those will be ready to put back together. Okay, so I'm going to loosen each of these 10 millimeter bolts little by little so this thing comes off kind of evenly. You don't want to just take one and pull it all the way out. Things will get all crooked. So let's pull these bad boys out. Okay, so you can see here that the plates are kind of in a weird order. This tab here is in this spot here, and all these other tabs are in this groove here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture of this with my phone so I can remember the order that they're in. And then I'm going to remove this outer plate here slowly. I want to keep the plates in place. This just comes right out of the way. As I take the plates out of here, I'm going to stack them in order on this foot peg right here, so I can kind of review how things were in there, because there's some strange stuff going on here. Like, look at this. There's a yellow stripe right here, and then there's a yellow dot on this one disc right here. So I want to make sure that that happens when I put the new ones in, and then I'll make sure there's no other special color coding anywhere. So let's start to pull these plates out of here. You can see the discoloration in the metal plates. That's a new one. That's the old one. So these were starting to get burnt. So it's a good thing that I bought the new ones. I don't have to put these in the stack here because they're all the same. But these plates here, well, you know what? It's mostly just to kind of have them in the same order as when they came out, even though I'm not going to reuse them, just for review. And notice there's a metal plate between every fiber plate. Okay, these plates, as they get further down, they get harder and harder. Oh, look at that. I can just come in from the back side there. So, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a hole back here where I just stuck my finger and just kind of pushed the whole stack forward rather than doing them one at a time, which takes forever. Probably gonna have to get like a little tool to help me get the last plates out. So okay, so luckily I have these little screwdriver looking things that have like a sharp edge on them to get in here, or you could just use like a flathead screwdriver. Whatever you got laying around works. Swap those out, and like I said, you kind of want to work them out straight, otherwise they'll bind up. Now, at the very bottom of all those plates is this little metal ring here. Make sure you don't remove that and lose it, because there's actually two little metal rings at the bottom of these plates. You can see those. These little metal rings here. Make sure those stay in place. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to start installing the new plates, one plate at a time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to check them to see if they have any, like, if you remember, this one plate here has this yellow on here, and I don't see any color coding on any other plates. They all look pretty much the same. Let's just kind of figure this out one plate at a time. As I'm pulling out the new plates, I'm going to look see if there's a plate in here with a yellow marking on it. Now look, this one has blue on it, and I don't even know what the heck that means. That might be the one that's actually supposed to be yellow, so I'm going to put that one aside for now. I don't see, none of these plates have a blue marking. Blue, 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 these are all blue. Every single plate is blue, except one of them is red. Okay, so see, all these are blue. All those other ones are blue, but this one's red. So I'm going to take it that this is the outer plate that lines up with that yellow mark. So I'm going to keep this plate aside for later. I counted how many fiber plates there are and how many metal plates there are, and there's one more fiber plate than metal. So that means, because the metal plates go in between each one, that means I'll start with fiber and end with fiber on the outside. Now I'm going to install all the plates with the blue stripe. And I'm going to line up that blue stripe with all of them as I install them. So just start putting them in one at a time. There you go. So push it all the way back. These are stamped, so one side is kind of rounded and one side's kind of sharp. It's kind of easier to install them with the rounded side facing inward. It just helps them slide on easier. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to put the new gasket on here. I'll put a little bit of sealer on the gasket, just like in a couple spots, just to kind of help hold it in place. But I already have these posts, that helps too. I'll put the cover on. I'll put all the bolts in. I don't torque those either. I just kind of snug them down, you know, kind of work my way around the case. Okay, something I wanted to show you guys on this case. The gasket was really stuck to this case pretty good from the heat. They may have even used an adhesive at the factory. So I took a knife and I used the knife to get off most of the gasket material. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a file and I just kind of come back and I just lightly hit the surface just to get it, you know, because the knife kind of, you know, will catch the aluminum a little bit here and there and mar the surface. So you just want to come back and get this nice and smooth and get off any of the little residue that's left on there. You can see all the gasket trimmings in here. I'll put some gas in here, flush it around, and dump it so it's ready to put on. Okay, so I'm going to take a little bit of this clear RTV silicone and just put it in some spots just to kind of help hold the gasket in place. Gasket sealer works good too. I just didn't happen to have any. Dab it in a few spots. It just helps hold the gasket in place while you maneuver the outer cover onto the bike. And just take your gasket, and you can always tell which holes go where these posts are. You see these little posts that keep the gasket in place. The hole's a little bit bigger, so there's one over here. So I'll maneuver that into place, slide it over the post, and then there's one right here. So just kind of slide that over the post and just kind of push the gasket on. You can see how good it's staying in place because of that silicone. Okay. Luckily on this bike here, every single bolt is the exact same length. Some motors you'll find they're different lengths, so you gotta either mark them or just kind of, you'll figure it out as you put them back in. Put them in, hand snug. What I'm doing now is I'm just barely snugging them down. I'm not tightening them to their proper spec. I'm just kind of getting them hand tight all the way around. And then I'll just kind of go a little bit tighter and just kind of work my way in a cross pattern. You can see I'm holding the wrench like this so I don't over torque them. These don't have to be very tight. Alright, that's it for that.